We Need to Talk About Kevin sounded great. I was really looking forward to this, and unfortunately, I think it's handled very poorly. Just because it's addressing what I think is a really important topic, that doesn't automatically make it a good film. I will explain why I don't think it's a good film, but I will say, first of all, it has 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb across 177,000 reviews and ratings, which is a really brilliant score. So if you're curious, check it out, ignore my thoughts and come to your own conclusion. I'll always encourage that anyway, but personally, I really don't agree with that at all, and there are specific reasons why. The film was released in 2011. It's directed by Lynne Ramsay, written by Ramsay and Rory Stewart Kinnear, based on We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. And we have a cast including Tilda Swinton, John C. Reilly, Ezra Miller, and various others. And it's mostly from the perspective of Eva, Kevin's mother, and Kevin is, at various ages throughout the film, a young boy and a young adult who has some very unusual and questionable and potentially disturbing behaviours, and he ultimately ends up doing something horrendous. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, because I knew more than what I've just said going into it because of, I think, the description on Letterboxd. But on IMDb, it's a lot more vague. So just in case you don't want to know too much more about what Kevin does, I won't spoil it. But the information is out there if you want to know a little bit more before deciding whether or not you want to watch it. I think it's addressing a really important topic. It's highlighting potential behaviours in a child that could, for some people, escalate into really horrendous, dangerous behaviour. I think that's always going to be something important to address to help show potential warning signs. That's not to say that everybody who's displaying certain behaviours will grow up to do horrendous things, but certainly if it can help save somebody, I think that's an absolutely fantastic thing. However, there are so many decisions in this, multiple decisions, that I don't agree with. I hate the narrative structure. I absolutely hate it. It bounces around all over the place. It never stays still. It never allows me to feel the emotions of the moment because we're constantly being thrown around. And I don't think the narrative structure was the right decision. It tries to be too fancy with some of the editing, and it's kind of pulling us away from what should be the main focus, and instead trying to be all fancy and visually different, and it doesn't work very well at all. The editing's good in theory, but it doesn't work for this story. It doesn't work for this narrative. And we also have some really annoying music. Not all of the music. And it's not that the music is meant to be annoying to make us feel uncomfortable or anything. There were just times when I felt the music really didn't fit various scenes. Not all of the way throughout, but enough for me to note it down. We do have some powerful performances, and it's addressing a really important topic, but I don't think Kevin's story is told in the right way. I don't think they took the right approach with this at all. So absolutely, credit where it's due for addressing an important concept, but I think it completely falls apart. The narrative structure is horrendous. The editing is just distracting and annoying. Some of the music is really irritating. The performances are very good. The characters are very well written. And in general, I think it could have been a really phenomenal film. As I said, when I read the description on Letterboxd, I immediately bought the DVD. Well, that's not true. I added it to my to-buy list, and then I think I bought it a couple of days later when I bulk bought a couple of others. But it immediately went onto my to-buy list, and I watched it almost as soon as it arrived, and I was very quickly disappointed. It was very early on in the film that I realised they'd taken the wrong direction. I still carried on with an open mind. It could easily have saved itself, but it didn't, unfortunately. We Need to Talk About Kevin could have been very powerful, very moving, very important, but unfortunately, in my opinion, they took the wrong approach and it just doesn't work.